Hey, what's happening everyone? My name is Speedstreak and welcome to the Theoryverse, where you look into theories for video games, movies, TV shows, comic books, and anything geek related. Now, if you've been following my channel, I have been talking about different theories for the Sonic the Hedgehog series, including if modern Sonic and classic Sonic are either the same hedgehog or from different timelines and universes, if Mobians and humans live on the same Earth or live on different planets, and if Sonic CD takes place either after Sonic 1 or after Sonic 2. And thankfully, Sega and Sonic Team recently have confirmed many of these theories and have been fixing the Sonic lore in the most recent Sonic games, as well as in the YouTube series Tales Tube. Now, for this episode, we'll be looking into the entire geography of Sonic's world, from the islands to the continents to the zones and the cities. Now, throughout the Sonic series, Sega and Sonic Team have been constantly changing the world design throughout different games, whether it's an alternate Earth, with the continents either looking similar to our Earth or having different designs, as well as having similar locations in our world, or a completely different planet, or even a post-apocalyptic future version of Earth called Mobius from the Archie comics series. And the reason is that they didn't have an official look on Sonic's world, and this was before they began to officially focus and fix up the lore, including confirming the one world theory with the humans living in the continents and the Mobians living on the islands, and classic Sonic confirming to be Sonic's younger self instead of being from another dimension/universe, as well as revealing the official Sonic world history on the Sonic Channel website, which shows which Sonic games are canon, and I did hear that it will be updated in the future, with more Sonic games going to be added in as well. Now back to the geography in Sonic's world. In the most recent games, Sonic Frontiers, Shadow Generations, and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, the design of the Earth that they have is now a mix and match of the continents, which, in my opinion, doesn't look right. I don't know if Sega and Sonic Team has confirmed this to be the official look of Sonic's Earth, or if the Unleashed version, or if the Shadow the Hedgehog version is the official look, but I actually have made my own design concept for Sonic's world. Now, before I show my concept, I wanted to say that a YouTuber named Charlie and Luke also did a video mapping out Sonic's world a couple weeks ago. But I haven't seen it myself before I made this video, as well the script, so this is completely separate from Charlie and Luke's video, but I will check it out later. Alright, so what I've done for the concept is I've combined elements, maps, and designs of Sonic's world from Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Origins, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Advance 2, Sonic Rush, and Sonic Forces, as well as including our Earth, which were shown in Sonic the Fighters and Sonic Riders. And without further ado, here is the final result. Drumroll please! Ta-da! I present to you my design for Sonic's world. It actually took me a long time to add in all the textures across the continents, making them similar to the geographical landscapes of our Earth, while also making some changes for Sonic's world. I also made sure that the design is a balance between reality and fantasy, since Sonic World is also a balance with fantasy and reality. Now keep in mind that while Sonic's Earth does have similar locations as our world, there are locations including Green Hill Zone, Seaside Hill Zone, Pumpkin Hill Zone, Windy Valley, and other zones across Sonic's world that have more of a surreal and fantasy look to them, as well as having futuristic cities including Meadow City and Monopoly. And all these locations together make Sonic's world really big and unique. Now, here comes the difficult part. Where are the locations across Sonic's world? Well, thankfully, the Sonic Wiki and the world maps throughout the Sonic series has confirmed where many of the locations are, but unfortunately, other locations are a bit more vague of where they are geographically. But I've accepted the challenge, and I did extensive research, including where each level, zone, city, and location could be, as well as cross-referencing to see if many of the locations have similarities to the locations in our Earth, including like the cities and as well as the geographical locations. And I also not only looked up the zones from the Sonic games that are confirmed to be canon, but I as well added in other Sonic games which I believe will be added later in the Sonic Channel world history. And so far, the confirmed Sonic games include Sonic 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Mania Plus, Sonic Superstars, Sonic 4, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Shuffle, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Advance 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Rush, Sonic 06, Sonic Riders, Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, Sonic Shadow Generations, Sonic Free Riders, Sonic Lost World, Sonic Forces, Team Sonic Racing, and Sonic Frontiers. Now for the games that I believe are canon and hopefully will be added in later, I will be adding in Sonic Chaos, Sonic Triple Trouble, Sonic Spinball, Tails Adventure, Sonic 3D Blast, Knuckles Chaotix, Sonic Advance, Sonic Rivals, and Sonic Rivals 2. Also going to be adding in 4 of the confirmed racetracks in Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which is still in development, but yeah, we've gotten more confirmed locations in Sonic's World, which are Rainbow Garden, Wonder Museum, East Stadium, and Chow Park. Since I'm just focusing on the geography in Sonic's World, I will be excluding Sonic Shuffle, Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic Rivals, Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Colors, and Sonic X Shadow Generations, since they take place in Imaginary World, the Soul Dimension, Onyx Island, which is a future version of Angel Island, the Arabian Nights World, the King Arthur World, Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park in outer space, and the White Space, which is outside of time and space. I don't know if Sonic R, Sonic the Fighters, and some of the other Sonic Game Gear games, and the IDW comic series are officially to be confirmed to be canon to the Sonic World History timeline, so for now I'm not going to add those. And for Sonic Prime, I don't think that is officially canon either, but Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood has been officially confirmed to be non-canon, as well as the Sonic World History confirming that the 4th Great Civilization created the Geezoids 2,000 years ago instead of 4,000 years ago, which the Dark Brotherhood stated. And I also discovered that the Geezoids were created around the same time that Black Doom placed his temples in Glyphic Canyon. Now that I've sorted out which games are canon, most likely to be canon, and which are confirmed to be non-canon, I worked on where the levels and locations are, and let me tell you, it was tough. There was no picnic in the park. But for most of the locations, they are pretty easy to know where they are, but for others, it was difficult. So, without further ado, let's dive into the geography of Sonic's world. Alright, so, starting off, I first located on the islands and the locations from the classic Sonic games from Sonic 1 to Sonic Superstars. For Christmas Island, South Island, West Side Island, the Neverlake Peninsula, where Little Planet is, or appears once a month for a year, Angel Island, Flicky Island, Coco Island, Robotnik Island, and Mount Mobius, I placed them in the western section of South America. And for Sonic Chaos, it did say that it takes place in South Island, but I renamed it to Southside Island as to not confuse it with South Island from Sonic 1. Although there are several islands across our world that are called South Island. And for Sonic Triple Trouble, I placed the zones in an island called Southwest Island. For the Neutrogic High Zone from Knuckles Chaotix, I placed it in the northern part of South America, and for the North Star Islands from Sonic Superstars, I placed them near in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Now before we continue, I do want to mention something. I was scrolling on Twitter recently, and I saw some Sonic fans talking about the terms Mobius and Mobians, and one Sonic fan stated that he heard someone suggesting the islands where the Mobians lived could be called Mobius, due to the loops, corkscrews, and the strange layout that the islands have, and to be honest, that sounds like a good concept, due to the term being based on the Mobius strip. And I think this way we could still call Sonic and his friends Mobians while also combining both Mobius and Earth together. I also chimed in in the conversation, seeing that the islands that we have seen in the classic era, as well as the other islands later down the line, could be called the Mobius Archipelago. I don't know if Sega will confirm this, but hey, it's just a theory. Alright, moving on to the modern games, we begin with Sonic 4. Now, I did read online on the website Sonic Retro where the events of Sonic 4 take place, and it was stated that they took place in an island called Mirage Island. But I don't know if Sega truly confirmed this or not, so I placed the zones south of the Neverlake Peninsula, since in Sonic 4 Episode 2, Little Planet was seen at a distance from Sylvanian Castle Zone and White Park Zone, which means they're not too far off from Neverlake. Not like that, but unfortunately this area is not complete, since we now know that Sonic Team was originally planned to make an Episode 3 for Sonic 4, and now that we officially have the post-credits scene from Episode 2, which teased Episode 3 before it was cancelled. Now that the post-credits scene has resurfaced, let's hope that Sonic Team makes Episode 3, and it's a possibility, but I believe Sonic Team could do a remake of Sonic 4 Episodes 1 through 2 while also making Episode 3 to promote Sonic Movie 4, but I don't know if it's going to be confirmed or not, but hopefully. Now, before we go any further, I do want to talk about one zone in which its location is unknown. Press Garden Zone. First shown in Sonic Mania, I originally thought it would take place on West Side Island, as was Studiopolis Zone and Mirage Saloon Zone, but it's confirmed that it's not there, so I did some analysis. Upon rewatching Sonic Mania, I noticed that Robotnik and the Hardboiled Heavies were able to warp with the Phantom Ruby only at short distances across South Island, West Side Island, Angel Island, and Little Planet, and Robotnik even reused the Flying Battery Zone to fly from Studiopolis Zone to Press Garden. I believe that the place where Press Garden could possibly be is next to White Park Zone. I mean, think about it, it's nearby Neverlake, and Robotnik could get there quickly from Studiopolis Zone on the Flying Battery. I could be wrong, but still, these are theories. Now, continuing with the games, let's now go to Sonic Adventure. I placed Station Square and the Mystic Ruins from Sonic Adventure close to Angel Island in South America, and this is actually more of a similarity / parallel from Archie Sonic's location of Station Square, since Archie Sonic's location of Station Square is also located in South America, or as was called in the comics, Sumerica. Now, for Sonic Advance 1, this was a bit more difficult, for the game didn't say if it was a worldwide adventure, if it takes place just on an island, or if Sonic and his friends traveled across a continent, so for now, I'm going to go with the third option. So what I did was that I scattered the zones a bit in Sonic Advance 1 across the western side of South America, and there are locations which could be on Angel Island, but I believe they could be, they are separated from Angel Island. Alright, moving on to Sonic Adventure 2, I placed Central City in the peninsula of southwestern North America, as well as all the zones and locations from Sonic Adventure 2, including Prison Island being close to Peninsula as it was in the game. And for Aquatic Mine, Pumpkin Hill, Skyrail, Dry Lagoon, and Wild Canyon could be smaller parts of the same location, which looks like a canyon in between Central City and the desert where Sand Ocean, Hidden Base, Headquarters, Death Chamber, and Pyramid Cave are. I also added the locations from Sonic Battle at Central City, since they are close or a part of the city, including Emerald Town, Night Babylon, Gimme Shelter, which is another Eggman base, and Holy Summit, which is a mountainous region a bit far away from Central City. Now for Sonic Advance 2, I placed the zones in northwestern South America to make them close to Station Square, and I did do my best to combine the map from Sonic Advance 2 to combine it in my concept as well, and as you can see with one of the zones, the music zone as well. Alright, moving on to the zones in Sonic Heroes. it is a bit more difficult, for the zones seem to be a bit more spread out across the world, but the more I looked into it, I believe that the Sonic Heroes game takes place mostly across North America. Right. So, let's dive into it. Let's begin with Seaside Hill and Ocean Palace. For their locations, I believe that these levels do take place in Sonic's version of the Caribbean islands. And after that, Grand Metropolis and Power Plant could be close to the shore after all, the teams chase Eggman, aka Neo Metal Sonic, to the mainland after Seaside Hill. This will eventually lead to Casino Park and Bingo Highway, which would be a bit more inland, and then that would eventually lead to Rail Canyon. For Rail Canyon and Bullet Station, it looks like they're most likely close to the southern section of North America. And I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but it is possible that Bullet Station and Rail Canyon could be part of the same canyon as Pumpkin Hill and Skyrail, although it is possible they could be separate canyons. For Frog Hill and Lost Jungle, they are confirmed to be north of Bullet Station and Rail Canyon, as was stated in the Sonic Wiki. And what I did was that I placed Lost Jungle south from Frog Forest, since it has more of a swampy environment, while Frog Forest is more of a, well, forest-like environment. For Hang Castle and Mystic Mansion, since they were built by Eggman, it's possible that they could be in the eastern side of North America, a bit far from Lost Jungle. And what's interesting is that I did some research and noticed that there are in fact castles that were built in eastern North America, especially across from the 17th to the 18th to the 19th century. And for the Egg Fleet, it looks like it could take place over the Atlantic Ocean and at a very high altitude, since the team stated that they are close to outer space. And not only that, but we also saw Shadow face off against Metal Overlord in a crashed Final Fortress, which is in the ocean, from Shadow Generations. And yeah, this would be after Neo Metal Sonic became Metal Overlord after copying all the data from all the teams, as well as copying Chaos's data. Alright, moving on, let's now talk about the Shadow the Hedgehog locations. Now, I believe this is definitely more of a worldwide adventure, since the Black Arms have been fading throughout the world, as was stated in the game. For both Westopolis and Lethal Highway, I believe they would be west of North America, and as well as being north of Central City. For Cryptic Castle, it looks like that the level is based off of different castles in England, and I did some research, and it looks like they're mostly in Wales. For Circus Park, Tails stated that Eggman built this circus theme park out of the rings throughout the world, and it was a bit difficult to pinpoint where this level could be, but I believe for now it could be somewhere in Europe. For Glyphic Canyon, the stage is set in a canyon where Black Doom placed many of his temples over 2,000 years ago. And I did some research if there are any ancient ruins that were built close to or in canyons, and I could be wrong if this is the only place, but the most likely place could be their version of the Grand Canyon, since there are actual ruins that were found there that were built in the canyon. For Airfleet and GUN Fortress, they're not too far off from Central City, since in the game you can either use the Eclipse Cannon to destroy Central City and go to the GUN Fortress, or you can race across GUN warships to the GUN Fortress. And I believe also I could be wrong, for the Egg Fleet, that is more in the sky, since that is when the what if scenario when Shadow activated the temples across Glyphic Canyon. So that would be like either above the Grand Canyon or a bit too far, or they moved to another location across North America. For the Death Ruins, the stage is set in a deep jungle with many ancient ruins. and after doing some research, I believe that this level could take place in the ruins of southern Asia. And finally, for Iron Jungle and Lava Shelter, I believe that those locations take place in Africa, with both of them being Eggman's bases, with the latter, well, being close to or made in a volcano. Now, I excluded both Digital Circuit and Mad Matrix, and the reason is that both of them take place in cyberspace, but I don't know, but it's possible that their portals may, they do have, it is a bit vague of where Shadow goes to enter into cyberspace, but one of them does lead into Cryptid Castle. Right, so for Sonic Battle, I did talk about the levels from that game earlier when I was talking about Sonic Adventure 2, since it does take place in Central City, so I wouldn't talk much about them here. So, moving on, we have Sonic Advance 3. Now, for this game, since Eggman split the planet into 7 dimensions, these zones are a bit more spread out throughout the world, but some of them are a bit more difficult to pinpoint specifically, so most of these are just theoretical guesses. So for Route 99, it looks like to be a city in the upper part of North America, probably close to either Chicago or New York, but once again, it's just theory. For Sunset Hill, I believe it could take place in the peninsula, so I placed it in the peninsula in southern Europe below Spain, France, and Germany. For Toy Kingdom, it was a bit difficult for I couldn't pinpoint a location, and originally I was researching for toy factories, but I went back to look at the zone, and as it stated, it was in fact a theme park. So yeah, that was my bad. I didn't look at the entire information regarding the zone. But I do believe that Toy Kingdom could be a theme park in Sonic's version of Asia, probably around, I believe in like one of the theme parks in China. For Ocean Base Zone, it could be off the shore from Africa. And for Twinkle Snow, it's definitely in the northern snowy region, and since it also shows the northern light, I believe it could be in northern Canada. Now for Cybertrack, this was a bit difficult due to it also being in cyberspace, similar to the earlier locations, like Digital Circuit and Mad Matrix. But I believe that the building where Sonic and his friends traveled to in order to be teleported into Cybertrack, I believe that could be in Europe. But once again, these are all just theories. Luckily, for the last level, Chaos Angel, this was shown to definitely take place on Angel Island, since it leads to the Master Emerald Altar, and where Sonic and his friends face off against their final battle against General, and where they also restore the world back to normal. Alright, now for Sonic Rush, this definitely, I believe, takes place in Europe. For Water Palace's background, looks as if it could be in a city in Greece, probably close to Apodos. And since the other zones are part of the same map from Sonic Rush, they are definitely close to Water Palace, including Leaf Storm Zone and Mirage Road Zone. I also placed Night Carnival, Huge Crisis, and Altitude Level in the same way as they were mapped in Sonic Rush on the world map. Next up, we have Sonic 06. For this game, it solely takes place on the island of Soliana, and since it is inspired by Florence, Italy, as well as Venice, Italy, it will be placed in southern Europe, or in their version of Italy. I also placed all of the locations that Sonic and his friends visited there, including Soliana, New City, aka Crisis City as it was called in the future, Wave Ocean, Dusty Desert, White Acropolis, Radical Train, Tropical Jungle, Kingdom Valley, and Aquatic Base. Alright, next up we have Sonic Riders. For this one, the racetracks are definitely around the world, since Sonic and his friends face off against the Babylon Rogues in the EX World Grand Prix. Starting off, we have Metal City, a futuristic city which thankfully, we learn it is a train's journey to the Mystic Ruins, so I placed it south of Station Square, and that is also where Night Chase is as well. For Splash Canyon, I researched to see if there are any locations that look similar to it, and the place that possibly looks closest to it is and forgive me if I accidentally butcher the name, the Tai Lo Su Waterfalls in Thailand. And not only that, but I believe the Red Canyon from the Babylon Rogue story could be another part of the waterfalls, or could be a separate version of it. For the Egg Factory, this is the next race where Sonic and Storm race against each other for this level, and for this one, I believe it would be in a bit more within Eastern Europe. And for the Ice Factory, it is similar to the Egg Factory, well, with it being an Eggman factory which is in the icy region. This is also where Storm went to get Eggman's data for Babylon Garden after losing to Knuckles. So, based off on the location, as well as it looking as if it's in having ice elements and could be in a snowy region, I placed the location above the Egg Factory in Eastern Europe. For Green Cave, I analyzed the level, and there's actually one clue where it could be around the world, and that clue is the Red Caterpillar. I looked up where the Red Caterpillar is around the world, and I learned that it is native to the southern United States. Not only that, but White Cave is also next to the Green Cave, as was seen in the Babylon story cutscene when Jet sees Sonic practicing while also ignoring Wave. It is also really cool that this level is returning to the Sonic Racing Crossroads, and I'm really interested to see how both the extreme gear and as well as the regular racing cars with how it will. Well, I actually can't wait to play it. Next up, for both Sand Ruins and Dark Desert, they both take place in their version of Egypt, since the racetracks are close to the Great Pyramids and the Egyptian Sphinx, as well as was shown in the cutscenes and as well as in the gameplay. And this is also where Jet cheated to win. And the next racetracks take place on the Babylon Garden, including Skytrack and Babylon Guardian, where Sonic and Jet race to catch up with Eggman and find the treasure of the Babylonians. And I believe for when the Babylon Garden resurfaced, this is definitely located a bit far from the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx. I also wanted to say for the unlockable racetracks, including Sega Carnival and Sega Illusion, I believe they are part of the same. I believe there are two theme parks which are the same theme park, and it looks like it could be in. I believe for Sega Carnival and Sega Illusion, they could be located in North America. So I placed them in a bit above in North America. Alright, next up, let's go to Sonic Rivals 2. And once again, the reason why I'm skipping over the first Sonic Rivals game is because it, as I said earlier, it takes place in a future version of Angel Island called Onyx Island, so it wouldn't count since technically it is the same island. So, I believe for Sonic Rivals 2, it looks like the game does take place in Europe as Sonic Rush did. Starting off, for Blue Coast Zone, this could definitely be a city located in Greece as well, possibly a neighboring city from Water Palace Zone, as well as Apodos. I also placed Sunset Forest north of Blue Coast Zone along with Neon Palace Zone. I believe for Frontier Canyon Zone, that could be a bit further in Europe and could also possibly be a part of Europe's canyons, while Mystic Haunt Zone is more up north. And I also believe that it is possible that Mystic Haunt could be their version of Transylvania. Once again, I could be wrong, but once again, these are all just theories. Now, for the Chaotic Inferno Zone, I know it takes place in a different dimension, but the portal to the zone is stated in the game that is within Mystic Haunt Zone, so I placed it in Mystic Haunt. Next up, we have Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Now, for Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, there isn't a World Grand Prix, but I do believe where it would take place in the world. With some clues, I believe that it takes place in Asia and around China. And for Monopol, it is I think for Monopol, which is a futuristic city, I believe that it could be close to the ocean, and I believe that it's a possibility. And for the next locations, including Megalo Station, Nightside Rush, Botanical Kingdom, Snowy Kingdom, Meteor Tech Premises, and Meteor Tech Sparks Works, they are stated to be located within Monopol, including Megalo Station and Nightside Rush, or possibly close or near Monopol, like Meteor Tech Premises and Meteor Tech Sparks Works. For Aquatic Capital and Tempest Waterway, I believe they could be part of a city that is, as a neighbor to Monopol. For the Gigon Rocks and Gigon Device, they are shown to be located in more of a mountainous region around in Asia or China, and this is where there is also ancient ruins and where one of the Ark of Cosmos is located. Now for Crimson Tower, I placed it in a peninsula where both Crimson Crater and Security Corridor are located, for the wiki did state that it is located in a peninsula. And after the Arks of the Cosmos were found and brought together, Babylon Garden teleported over there, and that is where Mobius Strip and Astral Babylon are located. For the unlockable levels, 80s Boulevard and 90s Boulevard, they look as if they're also in the same city, and this is also just a theory, but I believe that they could be their version of Chicago. Even though, I know they did state in the wiki that it could be their version of Times Square, but I don't really know, but they could be in a separate city. Once again, it could be their version of Chicago, but once again, these are all just theories. Alright, for Sonic Unleashed, this is definitely the easiest game to locate where the cities and locations are, since they are inspired by real-world locations. For Apollo's and Windmill Isle, they definitely take place in their version of Greece, since they were inspired by Mykonos, Greece. And I also have to say, it is really cool that this location is also returning in Sonic Racing Crossroads. For Spagonia and Rooftop Run, they are definitely inspired by the European city, Siena, Italy, as well as having elements from other European cities, including London, Spain, and France. And it is also stated in the wiki that it is the art capital of the planet, as well as having one of the Gaia temples. Thus, I placed it in their location of Italy, and that is also where Market Street, Sky Road, and Haunted Castle from Team Sonic Racing take place. And not only that, but Sega has also confirmed that Sonic's Earth has their version of France. Next up, we have Missouri and Savannah Citadel, and those are definitely located in their version of Africa alongside the second Gaia Temple. And for Alaska and Coolidge, they are located near their version of the North Pole along with the third Gaia Temple. And this is also where Glacierland from Team Sonic Racing is, with Ice Mountain, Frozen Junkyard, and Hidden Volcano, and it's also another location that will be revisiting in Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Next up, Chanian and Dragon Road are located in their version of China, and Dragon Road is of course based off of the Great Wall of China, and we're also where the fourth Gaia Temple is located. And also, Sega has also confirmed that Sonic's Earth has their version of Japan. Next up, Shamar and Arid Sands, and these are definitely located in their version of the Middle East, since it's based off of different Middle East locations, especially Petra, Jordan, and where the fifth Gaia Temple is located. And the next location is Empire City in Skyscraper Scamper, of course being their version of New York City. Next up is Adabat Jungle Joyride, which are based off of Southeastern Asian locations. And finally, we have Eggman Land, Eggman's ultimate theme park, where it is confirmed to be on an island south of Alaska, as was shown in the Sonic Unleashed map. Alright, next up, let's look into the stages in Sonic Freeriders. And thankfully, like Sonic Riders, these stages are more spread out since they are part of the EX World Grand Prix, and Sonic and his friends and the Babylon Rogues are competing across the world. Now for Dolphin Resort, I looked in some research, and it is stated on the Sonic Wiki that it resembles the real Dolphin Resort in Walt Disney World, Florida, so we'll be putting that putting that there in Florida. And next up, we have Rocky Ridge. Now it looks like Rocky Ridge is another level that takes place in their version of North America, with, of course, being a western-style mining town next to mountains and plateaus. So we're definitely gonna put it there in western North America. Now for Frozen Forest, I looked up to see where it could be, and thankfully one hint stuck out to me. And that hint is that the level has dinosaur bones. So I did some research, and the locations I learned where dinosaur bones are located include Canada, Alaska, Greenland, and Antarctica. And with this in mind, I believe that most likely the Frozen Forest takes place either around southern Alaska or northern Canada. Next up, we have Metropolis Speedway. Upon looking at the level, it looks to be another futuristic city that also has a section where it almost resembles Spagonia. And I do believe that this could be a neighboring city close to Spagonia, or just could be a separate city in a different location in Europe. But yeah, either way, this city is definitely located in Europe. Now for Magma Rift, this one was a bit more difficult, for it is at an ancient ruin in a volcanic region. And I tried to look up, I tried to research to see if there was any ancient ruins in a volcanic region. And the level also has shown to have giant bird statues, which could be a resemblance to Ra, the Egyptian sun god. But I also noticed another ancient ruin as I was looking through the level, and it is located to be in a ancient city ruin, and one building looks like a spiral tower surrounded by other ruins and columns. And this could be a stretch, but it's possible that ancient ruin could be inspired by the Tower of Babel, but I could be wrong. And another theory, I believe that this could be one of the ancient cities of the Babylonians after they crash landed on Earth. And I believe that this could be this is where Jet's ancestors once lived, as we have seen the giant bird statues. And for this location, I placed it in between the northern part of the Middle East as well as Eastern Europe. Yeah. But once again, this is just a theory. For the Forgotten Tomb, this is another level with ancient ruins with pyramids next close to a jungle-like forest and a canyon. But luckily, it does state on the wiki that the pyramids are based off of the Mayan temples. So we're going to be placing that in Mexico. For the final factory, I had a bit of difficulty locating it, and the description had stated that in the game that it's an Eggman facility, and it's a futuristic city where Eggman builds his mechs. And I originally had an idea of where it could be, but after looking at the description again, I had to change it. And unfortunately, other than knowing that it is an Eggman base, there really isn't that much information on level. So for now, I am placing its location on an island here, close to southern Asia. And next up, we have the Lost Hex from Sonic Lost World. I did state in a previous theory video that I believe that the Lost Hex could be within their version of the Bermuda Triangle. And I just say, there is actually a lot of lore that we can learn from the Lost Hex, including how did the Lost Hex came into being? Has it been there since the beginning of Sonic's world? Did the Chaos Emeralds create it, or is it an advanced ship being similar to Babylon Garden or the ancient spaceships? Where did the Zeni come from? Did it come from outer space like the ancients and the Babylonians? Or were they mutated by the Chaos Emeralds as the ancients were when they were turned into Chow? Sadly, we won't know the answers to these questions unless we get a Tales to regarding the Lost Hex, but actually it could be a possibility that we will begin a Tales to regarding the Lost Hex, but I don't know. But once again, it's just a possibility. Alright, now let's dive into the stages from Sonic Forces. Okay, so yeah, I did state in earlier videos on my channel that I did enjoy Sonic Forces, and you may have seen me do a Let's Play of it, but looking back there, I could see that there are some flaws, like that the game should have been made a bit longer, and that the stages were a bit too short, and they could have done a bit better with the story. And I understand that many of the stages are quite the same, with them looking to be in the same areas in Green Hill, Sunset City, and Mystic Jungle, as well as that the entire map is just one big continent instead of being the Sonic Unleashed map or the Shadow the Hedgehog map, since Sega and Sonic Team at the time haven't confirmed if the Sonic series takes place either on one planet or two separate planets, which thankfully they confirmed it to be the former. I admit it would be really cool that we could see more of Sonic's world, including returning to either Station Square, Westopolis, Spagonia, Genuine Fortress, Pain Castle, or any other stages in the previous Sonic games in Sonic Forces. And with that, I believe that most of these stages are spread out, similar to the map in Sonic Forces. And I also stated in the previous theory video that I believe that there are many places across Sonic's world named Green Hill, and not just with the only one being in South Island, as well as other cities and places around Sonic's world having the same name in different locations. Now starting off, for the levels of the various Green Hill levels, including Lost Valley, Arsenal Pyramid, Green Hill, and Guardian Rock, I placed them throughout South America, with Lost Valley being close to Sunset City. And for Green Hill, I placed it more on the eastern section of South America, and for Arsenal Pyramid, I placed it on the western section of South America alongside Guardian Rock. For the Guardian Rock level has more of a canyon and mountainous look, and it was stated on the Sonic Wiki that Arsenal Pyramid is adjacent to Guardian Rock. I also have to say, with the Eggman bases that look like pyramids that we have seen throughout the game series, it could be that Eggman is a fan of Egyptian archaeology, since he is fascinated with ancient cultures like his uncle and grandfather, but unlike his uncle and grandfather who want to unearth the ancient cultures and share their history with the world, he just wants to use the ancient culture's weapons for evil. And for the city stages, I spread them out as well across South America, with Ghost Town and Park Avenue being separate towns from Sunset Heights and Red Gate Bridge, which I believe those two levels are together. For the Mystic Jungle levels, including Luminous Forest and Casino Forest, they would be close together, since at the end of Luminous Forest, that is where Sonic fought Infinite, and that's also where Infinite dropped a Phantom Ruby copy, and it's also where classic Sonic, Tails, and the Avatar met. And for Aqua Road, it is possible that this could be their version of the Amazon River, which also leads the Avatar to the Phantom Ruby copy, but once again, this is all just speculation. Alright, next up, let's look into the Chemical Plant levels. Now for these locations, they're definitely spread out more throughout the world. For Spaceport, I placed that level in the northern part of Asia, in the same area that is located in Sonic Forces. And for Chemical Plant, this is a bit more difficult, for it looks like it's inside the Chemical Plant, or one of the Chemical Plant buildings, but I believe that this one could be located in the northeastern part of North America. And for Network Terminal, I placed that in the northwestern part of North America, for, as we've seen in the first part of the level, it is shown to be in more of a colder climate, as was Spaceport. For Metropolis, Eggman's capital city from Sonic Forces, as well as Eggman's Imperial Tower, it was a bit difficult to pinpoint where they are in Sonic's world than the other locations, but it does show that Metropolis seems to be close to a volcano or a deep crater surrounded by mountains, as was shown in the Sonic Forces map. So I looked into more research, and I believe that Eggman's Imperial Fortress could be their version of the Grasberg mine in central Papua, Indonesia. From the looks of it, it looks pretty similar to the design of the canyon surrounding the Eggman Tower, having a deep mine/crater, as well as with having mountains surrounding it. And with that in mind, I believe that Eggman's new Metropolis takes place in their version of Northern Australia, close to Indonesia. Now, the reason why I called it New Metropolis, or either way, Neo Metropolis, it's to, well, of course, not confuse it with Metropolis Zone. And I also wanted to point out that this Metropolis doesn't look like to have any connection with Metropolis Zone from West Side Island, but this could lead to confirm my theory that there are locations that share the same name throughout Sonic's world, but are also located in different locations throughout. Next up, we are looking into the stages from Team Sonic Racing. Okay, so I know that Sonic Channel has placed Team Sonic Racing before Sonic Forces in the Sonic World History section in the Sonic Channel website, which doesn't really make sense at all. It makes a lot more sense for it to take place after Sonic Forces, because some of the stages that we have seen in-game have broken down giant Death Egg robots, which didn't appear until after Sonic Forces. And that would make sense, since it would be after the Eggman War, and Eggman's giant broken mechs would be strewn throughout. And since we're still focusing on Earth, we will not be adding the stages from Planet Wisp or Final Fortress. I did talk earlier a bit about the racetracks from Spagonia, as well as the racetracks from Glacierland, Alaska, so I wouldn't talk about them as much here. So starting off, we have the racetracks across Seaside Hill Zone, including Ocean View, Lost Palace, and Whale Lagoon. And for the racetracks in Casino Park, I know that two of them are confirmed to be in the Casino Park level from Sonic Heroes, including Roulette Road and Pinball Highway. But for Bingo Party, that level was shown to take place in outer space, so I'm not gonna place it here on the map. And for the last three levels, Sand Road, Boo's House, and Clockwork Pyramid, those take place in Sandopolis Zone, Angel Island. Alright, so next up, we're going to the Starfall Islands from Sonic Frontiers. Alright, so for the Starfall Islands, I placed them a bit far from South America, since the ancients lived on the Starfall Islands before they fled to South America, where the Master Emerald is. And this is just a theory, but I believe that this could possibly also be the origins of the Mobius Islands and the Mobius Archipelago, with the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald transforming the layout of the islands that we have seen throughout the classic Sonic games, and as well as throughout the modern Sonic games. Right, so we begin on Kronos Island, where Sonic's journey to save his friends begins, and this is also where he learns about cyberspace, as well as first learning about the Ancient's past as he rescues Amy, meets Sage, and fights the Giganto Titan. Ares Island is next, where Sonic rescues Knuckles and fights the Wyvern Titan, and then traveling to Chaos Island, that's where he rescues Tails and fights the Night Titan. And for Rhea Island, we learn in the game that's part of Kronos Island, where Sonic unlocks the 6 towers to completely free his friends, but as well as unknowingly free the end. And last but certainly not least, Sonic and his friends go to Aranos Island to help Sonic control his new power and stop the end. And I remember reading that Aranos Island was also originally meant to be a part of Kronos Island before it was later made into a separate island. And overall, the Starfall Islands and the lore that Sonic and his friends learn about it, as well as the origin of the Chaos Emeralds, is really good. And this is also when Sega and Sonic Team began to fix Sonic's lore, as well as confirming the One World theory. And it is really cool that they're not only fixing the lore, but adding more to it as well. Alright, now before we move on to the final levels, which will be appearing in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, I actually do want to talk about something that I remembered reading in Daryl Robotnik's journal from Sonic X Shadow Generations. In entry 185, when he first created the Space Colony arc, he stated that it will be the 9th wonder of the world. I think, due to this entry, this could confirm that Sonic's world may have their, actually has their own versions of the 8 wonders of the world as our world does, including the Great Wall of China, and, correct me if I mispronounce it, this Chichen Itza in Mexico, which was an ancient Mayan city, Petra in Jordan, which we also have seen in Shamar, Machu Picchu in Peru, the Christ the Redeemer statue in Brazil, the Colosseum in Rome, the Taj Mahal in India, and more recently, and also correct me if I've mispronounced this, Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Many of these that we actually have seen in Sonic's world. And this could be a possibility, but this could also mean that Sonic's world could also have their version of the 7 natural wonders of the world, including Mount Everest, the harbor of Rio de Janeiro, the Great Barrier Reef, Victoria Falls, the Paracutin volcano, the Grand Canyon, and the Aurora Borealis. And we actually did see the Aurora Borealis in the Alaska stage when in upcoming Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which that could confirm this. And this could also mean that the 7 wonders of the ancient world, including the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, also correct me if I mispronounce that, the Temple of Artemis, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon could also exist in Sonic's world. And we actually did see the pyramids in Sonic Riders when Sonic and his friends went to Egypt to race against the Babylon Rogues in their final race. And this could actually expand more of the lore of Sonic's world. And since we have seen confirmations of like the Great Pyramid of Giza, of course the Great Wall of China, and in a lot of areas that we have seen across Sonic's world that were actually inspired by many of the wonders of the world. And we actually did saw Petra Jordan at the end of the Arid Sands stage. And yeah, I mean, this could mean that Sonic's geography, our world geography, Sonic's world history, and our world history may have more in common than we realize. And yeah, especially since Sonic's world also celebrates the same holidays as we do, including Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Easter, Halloween. I'm sorry. I said Halloween twice. Sorry about that. Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and Independence Day. I mean, this could be a possibility, but yeah, that would be really cool. Alright, so for the final stages, we're focusing on the new original levels that take place on Earth from Sonic Racing Crossworlds. And, now I know that Sonic Racing Crossworlds is still currently in development, and we've only gotten the beta test for a couple of the racetracks, but in the most recent trailers, we have seen some familiar locations, including Metal Harbor, Ocean View, Apotos, White Cave, and Water Palace. And it is still really cool that we get to see more of like the levels that we haven't seen in a while. But for now, I'm gonna be focusing on the official new ones that are confirmed to be in Sonic's world so far. Alright, so let's start off by looking into Rainbow Garden. Now, for this one, it was a bit difficult to pinpoint where this stage takes place. From the stage design, it is surrounded by a giant flower bed with many flowers in rows, along with hills and mountains, with a couple of them having flags hanging across them as you go through in between the mountains. And there's also one mountain where you go through a tunnel which has Asian-themed statues. And I looked up to see if there are similar locations, and I've actually have come across a few areas that are close. I believe that this level could take place in Japan, but as of now, this hasn't actually been confirmed yet. But for now, we'll put the level. We'll put the level there. All right, next, let's go to the Wonder Museum. I have to admit, they did an incredible job with this racetrack, but unfortunately, it is a bit hard to pinpoint where it could be since the racetrack is inside the museum. But unfortunately, upon looking at the design of the interior structure of the museum, I believe that the museum could be located in or close to Spagonia. And I really do like that the Wonder Museum also has a lot of Easter eggs, archaeology, and history from across Sonic's world, including the dinosaur skeletons, the Tornado 1, the Echidna statues, the ancient gears, and the ancient statues from the Starfall Islands. And I also like that the museum comes to life, like in Night at the Museum. And I also noticed that I did say earlier that they are using the design of the Earth from both Sonic Frontiers and Sonic X-Shadow Generations. But I don't know if this will be updated in the full game when it officially releases, but we'll see what happens. Alright, next, let's look at the E-Stadium. Now, from what I've seen from the footage of the stage, it looks like a racetrack that takes place by the ocean and is next to a city. And for some time, I only focused on the footage from the teaser trailer, looking at multiple racetracks which are close to the water, but another hint from the gameplay that helped me out is that it's close to a Ferris wheel. I looked up and learned that there are two racetracks that are close to the ocean and have Ferris wheels next to them. The first one I found is the Suzuka Circuit in Japan. Unfortunately, from what I've seen from the map, it is not by the ocean. But for the other racetrack, I believe that this one could be the equivalent to E-Stadium, and that is the Marina Bay Street Circuit from Singapore. It is right by the water, and it also has a Ferris wheel, which is called the Singapore Flyer. And with this, I believe that the E-Stadium has to be Sonic's World's version of the Marina Bay Street Circuit. But still, these are just theories. Alright, finally, let's look into one of the new stages that we only got a glimpse at in the Cross Worlds trailer, and that is Chow Park. So far, we only got a couple seconds of the footage, but from the looks of it, it looks like Chow Park is next to a city with glass pyramid buildings next to the theme park. And I looked up every city with a theme park next to water or cities with water parks, and I analyzed every frame in that segment to see if there are any cities with any similarities to the level, but mostly I came up with nothing. And yeah, there are plenty of cities with theme parks next to them, especially in Orlando with Walt Disney World, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld. But since we only got a couple seconds of the stage, it is a bit tough, but from what I saw from the Chow Park sign, it looks like it looks like it has a water park element to it along with regular roller coasters. So, after a long time researching and cross-referencing every theme park close to cities, and with also having water park themes to the point it seriously hurt my brain, I've concluded that the theme park that it's closest to is SeaWorld Orlando. And think about it, both of them have a theme, water theme along with regular roller coasters, and they're within and close to cities. And the only thing I could find close to the glass pyramid buildings are the Imagination buildings from Epcot. It is possible that the buildings in the Child Park level could be hotels or resorts for the park. And I have another conclusion that the city that we see on the stage it almost looks like Station Square after it was rebuilt after the events of Sonic Adventure. It's a possibility, but we still haven't gotten any concrete confirmations from Sega since the game is still in development. So for now, I'm going with the SeaWorld location. And once again, this is all from what I've seen from the Sonic Racing Crossroads trailer, so please take it with a grain of salt. Well, with that in mind, this concludes our geography adventure across Sonic's world. And once again, it was really tough to pinpoint many of the locations, while it was easier to find other locations thanks to the maps across the Sonic series. But this is still my own fan-made concept of Sonic's world being a combination of the world maps across the Sonic series. But once again, these are all just theories and cross-references to real-world locations. I don't know if Sega will use the world design either from Sonic Unleashed, Shadow the Hedgehog, or from Sonic X Shadow Generations or Frontiers, but this is still a fun project to do. And if they do confirm any of those maps, then I'll probably do another video for Sonic's geography. And if you guys want me to react to Charlie and Luke's video regarding how they located each zone in Sonic's world, please let me know in the comment section down below. So, that's been a little time I have to take for this video, but don't go anywhere, we still have plenty of more theories across pop culture to look forward to more soon. So stay tuned for more. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to check out my other theory videos where I delve into other theories across pop culture, especially with Sonic the Hedgehog. And not like that, but be sure to check out my other series, including Let's Plays, reviews, discussions, top 10s, voice impressions, challenges, and theories. Now if this is the type of content you enjoy watching and get updated for our latest videos, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell on. So once again, thank you everybody so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Speedstreak out.